goings of today on BK Sport? It is time for the NRL season to get underway. The first video of pure NRL content that we do every single season is here, and we are back for the position tier makers. You guys always love this. It's always a great series. It's always actually usually quite shorter, but the way we've been filming these videos this year, you've got plenty of chat. It's basically like a podcast. Most of these videos have been going for, hour and 30, 2 hours with a random stats guy for the second row, not the second row forwards, for the front row forwards. So it's going to be a really good series, all 10 positions, including the coach. So we're talking front row forwards, back rowers, halfbacks, 5'8", fullbacks, which is what we obviously are starting off with here today. It's going to be a fantastic series, guys. So do get ready for that. Have your notification bell on. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. But man, oh man, this is one of my favorite series on the channel because it gets you right back into that NRL mindset. You go through every single player, you rank them, and now you're thinking, well, shit, now I want to be either proven right or proven wrong. I just want some rugby league to happen. That's why this is such an awesome series. But if you guys don't know what it is, we will go through every single player, rank them from elite quality, do the job, not that great and unproven. Every player in the position from every team will be slapped up. Even if there's like a 50-50 shout whether they're going to be fullback or not, we'll have both or multiple players in it. I think the Knights are the only one that we haven't done that for this in regards to fullbacks, because there are a couple of names that I forgot to put in there. However, still should be great. If you guys don't know, we don't just do it here by myself. We actually have another content creator that does join us. And to start us off, we do have the big fella, Paramata Squeals, man. It is Entertainer House. How we doing, man?
Doing well, mate. Thanks for having me back on. It's obviously been a great couple of years of doing this video series, an awesome idea and something different getting into the fullbacks. I remember we did locks a few years ago. I can't remember too well who we did. I think we did
centres, didn't we?
Might have been centres, but I just remember talking about Nathan Brown and his discipline a few years ago. We spoke about him for a while, but looking forward to this one. It'll be interesting and getting hyped for this 2023 season, Year of the Eagle.
Exactly. Yeah, well, no. Yeah, exactly to the original part, but no to the next part in regards to the Year of the Squeal. It's not the Year of the Squeal, mate. It's the Year of the Redemption Titans. Absolutely. That's what we're talking about here. But yeah, fullbacks are possibly the most interesting. Maybe not the most interesting, because usually fullbacks are... Actually, no, this year is an interesting group because there are really polarizing figures and also figures that might be... I think that we'll have a difference of opinion in regards to a couple of them this year. I don't think it's just going to be as simple as previously because... Yeah, there are multiple. Obviously, the Titans, we don't know who's going to be the fullback. I have my opinion about where they're going to be. But with that being said, and we speak a lot about that in regards to when we're talking about Kieran Foran and the halves and all that type of jazz will come a little bit later. But obviously, man, tell if anyone doesn't know who you are, he's obviously been on the channel for, I think the first time you appeared on the channel was maybe 2019. But tell everyone who you are and what you do for the community.
Yeah, guys, I jump on and do sports vlogs, mainly NRL. Obviously, you mentioned the Parramatta Squeals are the main content. Now, they will start, I believe, round 3 this year. I'll miss the first game against the Storm, which is an opener, which is so sad, but I will be in Los Angeles for that. I also do Sydney Kings vlogs for the Sydney Kings as well as the BBL at the moment. But yeah, I've loved being part of the YouTube community for, this is my 5th year now.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Well, the more the better. And you will also be a part of the charity event that we're both going to be part of. Obviously, I'm not playing and I can't tell you exactly what I'm doing just yet, as you guys know. But if you haven't checked out the video yet, go and check that out. I will be actively involved with it, with a big buddy thing to do. So definitely get down there for that. But you're going to be playing, mate. How are you feeling about that charity event coming up?
Yeah, looking forward to it. There's some great names there. There's some big fellas that are definitely going to throw some big shoulders at me. So hopefully I don't get injured before that plane trip. It's literally the week before LA as well. So hopefully I don't go over there with some crutches on the plane. But definitely looking forward to it. It's a great idea. Good luck to everyone getting involved as well. And yeah, jump onto Eventbrite to get your tickets, and more information coming on Sports Shed TV in the next couple of weeks for sure.
100%, yeah, and obviously the link to the tickets will be in the description. But yeah, Blake Gutherson today, as a Manly fan, called out Olin Teckers on the when he was doing the 5'8" section, which comes out, I think, actually later this week. So yeah, no, it's going to be good, man. And we've got a heap of guys down there. And as I said, I will be actively involved, guys. So if you want to come down, you can meet me and a bunch of the other guys. Everyone in the NRL community, there's a whole heap coming down, plus ex-players that'll probably be coming down as well. So yeah, it should be a fantastic day. But let's get into the video here, man. So obviously, for people who aren't aware of this series, again, just to go over it quickly, it is every single player in the fullback category today. We'll do every single position here. And today, fullback, we go through every single one, rating them from elite quality to the job, but not that great, and unproven. Disclaimer, if you are a player and you get put into not that great category, please understand that this is a comparison and this is our perspective too. Understand that you probably think you're fantastic and to be honest with you, you're much better than us. Like we are very well aware that we're not going to be donning the jersey for, the West Tigers, for example, or Manly. We're not going to be jumping in there. We're not good enough, but you are. However, in comparison to other players in other teams, we do think that we have to fairly rank you in not that great in comparison. And hopefully you use it as a bit of a motivation tool to prove us wrong and say, you guys, shut your dirty mouths. I'm going to have a good year and I'm going to put myself and do the job all quality. Not for us, for yourself. So understand it with that perspective that we're not trying to deliberately shit on you unless you are a bit of a muppet bloke that, like a Josh Haloye who's an Instagram blocker. But outside of that, we actually rank pretty fairly, actually. But outside of that, if you're also a commentator, please obviously understand this is our opinions. Please jump into the comment section. Let us know if you agree or disagree. And yeah, I understand that this is our perspective. But we're going to be here probably another hour and a half. So, hey, are you ready to go here, mate?
Let's begin.
Well, let's begin. And we begin with a fantastic team, mate. We begin with a very fantastic team here. And it is the Gold Coast Titans, AJ Brimson, the Brimdog Millionaire. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to get him this year at some point to change his Instagram tag and change his Instagram handle to the Brimdog Millionaire because that is who he is. I love Brimo. I will put a disclaimer out there as well that I am a Titans fan, as you guys are aware. I will give you my true opinions about players throughout this. Yes, I know these boys, and yes, a couple of them are my mates. But I am also going to tell you my honest opinion. In regards to Brimo, I do think that he definitely is a fullback. Whether he gets that fullback spot or not is another question. I don't believe he'll be in the halves. I think Kieran Foran will be the 6, and I do believe Toby Sexton will probably be in that 7. But I love Brimson as a fullback. I think that's his position. I think he's underrated as a fullback as well. I think that every time he gets in there, he's one of the best players of the Titans. I definitely don't think he's going to go high end of quality, but I would put him at low end of quality.
Yeah, I'd put him in regards to the middle to low end of quality, probably closer to the middle than the low end personally. I think, look, going into this season, it's more about the Titans, but even proving his position at fullback for the Maroons. A few seasons ago, you saw just how good he can be and explosive in that position. So I'm going to have to agree with you there in quality, and I think he's around that middle spot too.
Yeah, I think the hard thing with Brimo is that, there is Jayden Campbell that has burst onto the scene and he had the most, I think, tackle breaks for a fullback or something ridiculous last year in 2022. Now, he has got a smaller frame and I'm not too sure, I guess, I don't know. It's a really hard one here because I want to have Jayden as a fullback too. I really do. It's a hard one between the two of them. However, with the fact that Foran's come in now, I do think that Brimo is, in regards to the backs, he's been there for a long time. He does genuinely care about this club. Just like Jayden, it's such a hard situation. It really is. But it's a good situation because they both are quality fullbacks. Like they both are, at least with Jayden, he's up and coming. Brimo is a lot more proven in regards to his quality. I'll need to see a lot more from JC still. But, man, it's going to be a good battle between the two. And I think it's going to be – that's probably the biggest question mark about this Titans team right now is who gets in that fullback spot, who goes into the 6, who goes into the 7. The spine's still up for grabs. However, if they do the right spine, it could actually be a low-key, sneaky, underrated spine there. If they go, say Brimo, fullback, Kieran Foran 6, 7, Toby Sexton, who had the most forced dropouts last year for a young bloke, and then the number 9, Sammy Verrills, Jayden Campbell 14. What do you think about that spine?
Look, it's a good spine. That's what I was thinking, Jayden Campbell in that 14. He's definitely, I believe we'll speak about Jayden Campbell at some point in this video, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But they're both definitely great fullback options. But I think Brimo, especially being involved in that Titans side for a number of years, and even some of the leadership that he's shown in the side, he probably will get that starting spot.
When Tino's not in there, it's usually Brimo is the captain. But I think we move on now. Chuckman quality, bingo, bango, Brimdog Millionaire, Instagram handle, it's coming. Next up here, let's move to the Newcastle Knights. And this is obviously going to go into unproven. It is a Bailey Hodgson here for the Knights. Now, there is word that maybe Daine Gagai could go there, or even Tyson Gamble, who maybe we might have put in this list. No, we haven't. We've only got Bailey Hodgson here because that's probably going to be the case. But I think we just have to go unproven, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. Well, fair enough. Well, yeah, just straight to unproven. And I think that means we can pretty much just skip on to the next one now, which is Charnze Nicoll-Klokstad, who obviously is in his Raiders jersey there, but he is now at the New Zealand Warriors. Now, this is another difficult one, similar to the Titans in a way, that apparently Charnze has gone from fullback of the Raiders to centre at the Warriors, but because they've got Tabuai-Fidow there as well. There's also Luke Metcalf, both can play fullback, but Charnze is also a fullback by trade too. I think he more than likely will go into that centre position, and I think Tabuai-Fidow will get the fullback. But if he was to get into that fullback position, we can rank him because he has played for so long, obviously at the Raiders in that position. What would you say about Nicoll-Klokstad?
This is crazy because 2 years ago, Charnze, or 2 or 3 years ago, Charnze was one of my favourite players, obviously part of that grand final squad as well, almost there for a premiership, but he's really started to regress, and you've seen, obviously, Xavier Savage take over that role, and I think Charnze has never been the same after injury as well. I don't think you can put him in not that great. I think he's probably a do-the-job player. I can't put him anywhere near quality, especially going into that 2023 season, and it'd be interesting to see how many games he started for the season, because I would say that he probably only played 8 or 9 games, if I'm not mistaken, in the 2022 season. So, look, I'm going to put him in do the job, but it'd be pretty damn low down there in do the job at the moment.
I think it's because of injury and also because, obviously Xavier Savage ended up taking over that spot there. And I think obviously his heart probably wasn't in it as well towards the later bit as he wanted to go to the Warriors, back to New Zealand, obviously. I think that, about a couple of years ago, he was in quality. He just simply was. He was in quality. And I think that we were talking about mid-range of quality, but his stocks have dropped off quite a bit. And now he's not going to get the fullback spot over to Murray Martin, which is very interesting considering his history and recent history specifically. So, look, obviously we'll chuck him into the job there. Happy with that one. See where he ends up. But for the time being, it's a bit disappointing how he's fallen off in regards to the stocks. Yeah, he's still there, but he's now a centre, which is a bit of a throwaway there for an ex-fullback, which is obviously a really key position. But let's move on now, and we're going to give you the free reins here, relatively free reins, with Clint Gutherson, Gutho from the Parramatta Squeals. What are your thoughts about the Queen Gutho?
Yeah, Clint Gutherson, obviously that 2020 season was his big moment, almost being right there for that Dally M medal, being closely beaten by Jack Whiten. If we're going off the 2022 season, even though obviously Parramatta made the grand final, I don't think it was his best season. Then again, he's absolutely do the job, but let me finish because that's not where I'm putting him.
I was going to say, that's rough.
No. But he absolutely makes some big plays in some games. He's not that type of breakout player like Tedesco that opens up games regularly, but there are those occasional moments where there's line breaks, things like that. And then there's some amazing try-saving tackles. And we saw that in 2022 as well, some absolutely match-winning tackles. So, look, I think people can argue Gutherson to be at the lower end of elite, but me personally, I'm going to put him in the high end of quality, and I'm going to put him at the top of the high end of quality.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that maybe in the past, I don't actually think he's ever reached elite. I think most Eels fans, not necessarily you, but most Eels fans want you to believe it. They're not like Bulldogs fans who are incredibly loud. I love Dogs fans for their passion, but they're very, very loud. I say that quite a bit throughout this series. But yeah, look, I think that Gutho definitely for me would be top of quality. I think that he is still a great fullback. I think that you're not going to say no to a guy like Clint Gutherson. However, he doesn't have the X factor, is what I would say there. Like a Tedesco, like a Tabuai-Fidow when he's obviously fit and healthy. Even to the extent of a Brimo, who we do have below him, and fairly enough, of course. I think there is a little bit of a gap between the two. But with that being said, if there was a draft tomorrow, I don't know, because I look for X factor, right? I look for that fullback who's going to be pacey, break the line. I think Gutho is just so solid and so stable. But in comparison, you've got Brimo, who may not have that overall quality like Gutho has, but he has that X factor. Do you understand what I'm saying there? That, maybe you might actually prefer a Brimo over a Gutho, but I wouldn't put him higher. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying about that type of AJ Brimson's definitely that type of player to like open up games. And then I mentioned that Tedesco, but look, I think he's just so reliable as well. And I think especially
that's what I'm saying. I suppose why he's still above him. Yeah.
Yeah. High end of quality, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Well, there you go. Stabilizer Clint Gutherson. He is at the top of quality. Next up here, we move on to the Dragons, and I believe it is Cody Ramsey here for the Dragons. Now, the Dragons are a tough team to read, baby. Oh, they're a tough team to read. Cody Ramsey, is he fullback? Is he winger? We don't really know. Has he lived up to the expectations? I wouldn't necessarily say so. What are your thoughts on Cody Ramsey, considering I think you have a bit of a soft spot for the Dragons?
Yeah, I think Cody Ramsey had a very good 2022 season. It wasn't a bad season overall for the Dragons. I believe they finished the season in 10th spot, so only a couple games from the finals. I think moving Cody Ramsey to fullback was...
I'm going to quickly just jump in here and disagree with you. It was a 10th place, but it was a very bland, boring. I'm not going to lie to you. I prefer to be a team below them. Carried. Well, Ben, I nearly said something else there. Ben Hunt carried. See, that was a tough one. Jeez, you tongue twisted me there, and it nearly came off really badly. But yeah, look, I think that the Dragons were very, very bland last year. So I actually would have preferred to be a few of those teams below them in regards to at least having some kind of interesting season. And I feel like a similar thing could happen with the Dragons this year, but even lower. But anyway, keep going with what you're saying. I just had to maybe jump in there because I wouldn't say that 10th was a decent season for them.
I think Cody Ramsey was definitely a do the job. I can't put him in not that great. Maybe previously he was okay on the wing, but I think he's really finding his position at fullback. And I think it was a breakout year for him. I think there were some really big games and he was very consistent, especially towards that middle part of the season. I think it was a game against the Warriors that he had an absolute blinder, a game against the Sharks, a blinder, just consistently being good. So I would probably put him in the middle. I wouldn't put him in the high end of do the job. But again, there's probably only 5 or 6 games he's played at fullback. So you probably could argue as a fullback that he's unproven.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that he does get it because Tyrell Sloan is also going to be talked about a little bit later on. Would you put him above or below Klokstad? I keep switching it around here. I'm thinking because I keep thinking about the history that Klokstad's had and what he's provided in the past, which is kind of making it a bit more interesting here. Would you say based on that year, I don't know, maybe in the fullback category, put him below? There is an argument for unproven, I guess, but in the same sense, we have seen. When I look at Cody Ramsey, I think wing. Is there a reason for that? Has he played more on the wing?
He probably did play more on the wing. I think he played about 7 games in 2021 on the wing, whereas I'd say last season, look, he was left out of the side a few times, I believe, as well last year, but I think he played at least 8 to 10 games, half the season, in that fullback role.
We usually on this channel, on these videos, we usually have a 20-game minimum, but I think that I still have seen would you say unproven? Would you say top of unproven above Hodgson? Because 10 games is also not much, but I've also seen enough, I reckon.
No, I think I'd agree with you that I'd have him probably just under Nicoll-Klokstad. I think it's definitely an argument he could be above Nicoll-Klokstad, but you think of Nicoll-Klokstad, even though he wasn't the greatest in the 2022 season, he definitely still had some big moments and more and more, probably a more complete player in that position at fullback. So I would put him below Nicoll-Klokstad and do the job.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's move on there. He's over there. Next up here, we go to the West Tigers, and this is going to be Daine Laurie here. And I think his stocks have dropped off pretty dramatically in the last year. I think people overrated him, but also understood that he was playing well back in 2021. But 2022, man, I think he very much fell off in regards to a lot of the ability that I was seeing from him. Obviously, the Tigers had a dreadful, dreadful year, but in the same sense, the last 10 years, 11 years, 12 years have all been dreadful years. And throughout the time that he's been there, we've seen more from him. But would you agree with me that he did drop off pretty dramatically in 2022?
I think he did have a lower season than his 2021 season. I think that was kind of the breakout year for them. And he was still a kind of do-the-job player, but you probably could make an argument for the high end of not that great.
I think that might be a little bit too low.
I think it is too. Look, I think do the job, but I think it's a lower end, a middle to lower end. But I definitely put him below Cody Ramsey as well.
I would still put him above Cody Ramsey because at least we've seen a lot more from him and he has had that good year in 2021. I think that, yes, obviously he had that poor year last year, but I think that 2021, at least we've seen that from Daine Laurie, so we know what his ceiling is based off that season, which was a good season for him. I think that with Cody Ramsey, we haven't actually seen it yet, and that's why there's an argument for unproven there. I personally would put Daine Laurie above Cody Ramsey, below Nicoll-Klokstad. But would you agree or would you disagree?
No, I think I'm happy with that.
I just think because we've seen more from Daine and we have seen at least a year where this is why I think Cody Ramsey, you really could be throwing into unproven. It really could be. But we'll figure it out later. If we feel like if the names keep coming up here and we feel like we have to move Cody to unproven, then we will. But for the time being, so we're leaving Daine Laurie between Nicoll-Klokstad and Ramsey.
Yep,
there we go. All right, moving on now. We go to Dylan Edwards here of the Penrith Panthers. And I would argue that 2022 was, and this is a funny thing to say because I've been banging this man in for ages. I know that sounds bloody dodgy, and it is a little bit dodgy, but I've been banging this man in for ages because he's so underrated up until last year where he became the player. And I think this was actually a really big breakout year for the general consensus of the NRL community to understand how good he is as a player. His returns from kicks are absolutely outstanding. I think his defense is outstanding. I think that the way that he plays in general is such a stabilizer at the back of this Panthers team. He doesn't need to be. Look at their team, right? And this is with Api-Koroisau there, but they've got Api-Koroisau in the 9. They've got Nathan Cleary in the 7. They've got Jerome Luai in the 6. You've got Brian To'o. You've got Stephen Crichton, William Kikau. You've got all these, Fisher Harris. You've got all these guys who are explosive and can, maybe not Fisher Harris in regards to what I'm referring to here, but explosive X factors. You don't want too many X factors, man, because with too many X factors, which is what we found with the Titans actually a lot in the last 10 years, with too many X factors, it gets a little bit too crazy and the creativity is just too much. And this is why I love Dylan Edwards and this Panthers team, because their team is just so creative, but also has that just straight up solidity of a Dylan Edwards at the back. So I 100% would put him in the league.
I'm going to agree with you. And I think if as great as his season was, could you argue that you would have put him in quality if he didn't get that Clive Churchill medal? That fact that that massive game with the try-saving tackle on, I think it was Bailey Simonson in the grand final, absolutely one of his moments of the year. A huge season, and you mentioned it, and I think it compares to that Isaiah Yeo. Everyone was saying, or starting to say, how good Isaiah Yeo was, but no one really knew it until I think it was 2021. And the same can be said here about Dylan Edwards. But I have to agree with you in elite, but I do think that he probably would have been that high end of quality if he may not have gotten that Clive Churchill medal in the grand final. But it's shown just how impressive he is now.
Yeah, I think that I'd still be putting him in the league because I've been saying this for a long time. Like I've been really trying to bang it, like really bang the bloody doors for a long time. Bang the drums. Well, I'm the drummer for the Titans, get that in. But I've been trying to bang the drums for Dylan Edwards for a long time, and he finally has been seen. And I find it outrageous that some people still don't understand how quality he is. But I think that's just because of how good the Panthers are as a team. So that's just is what it is. I think that elite, there you go. I don't think he's going to be top of elite, but he makes a good name for himself. Let's put it that way. He makes a really good name for himself. And if you're not watching him this year, then you're a Muppet. You're just a straight up Muppet. Just simple as that. But let's move on now to he was at the North Queensland Cowboys. Now he's at the Dolphins, the Redcliffe Dolphins, the Wish version of the Gold Coast. We've got Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow here. There is no guarantee he gets the fullback spot, but I think he probably will get it. There is also Jamayne Isaako, who we'll talk about a little bit sooner as well. But what are your thoughts about Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, man?
Well, Hamiso obviously was underused by the Cowboys in the 2022 season. He was used off the bench. He probably only got a handful of games. And with Scott Drinkwater playing so well at fullback, it was pretty limited as to how much he played at fullback. For me, he's been a great player, but his kind of breakout moment has been that 9 series back in 2020. That was his time to shine, his moment to shine. That got him the contract. So it's a really hard one to put because I don't know just how much fullback he's played. So again, like Ramsey, you could argue that he's unproven, but he's probably going to be selected as that Dolphins fullback, as we both mentioned. So I don't know.
He was going to get that fullback spot if it wasn't for Drinkwater coming in as well. I think the only reason he wasn't playing there was because he got injured, didn't he? And then And then Drinkwater came into the fray, and then he couldn't even find his way back into the team at the Cowboys because that team obviously was doing so well last year. I think there's enough here to see.
I feel like you'd have to put him in do the job. Is he quality? Look, he is good, absolutely.
No, he's not quality. It's not quality.
No, yeah, like he's a great player nonetheless. He's not a bad player in any way, shape, or form, but he's more of a do the job player, and it's kind of shown in the fact that he doesn't really start games. He was so underutilized in that game against Parramatta in a what do you call it, a preliminary final to have someone that fast who's obviously raced Josh Adokar in some big moments in games. So yeah, I'm going to put him in the high end of do the job.
Yeah, I think that when I was saying, just to clarify for the viewers, when I'm saying he's not quality, I mean in regards to this tier ranking here. I still think he has potential. There's a lot to be seen still, though. I still need to see a lot from him. So for the time being, I think, put him in to do the job. I actually don't know how he's going to really go at the Dolphins. I don't think we know how anyone's going to go at the Dolphins. Brand new team, brand new setup. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, look, it's going. I'd put him in do the job. I would personally. I think the potential puts him above Nicoll-Klokstad, though. I think his potential puts him above him.
Yep, I'd agree.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's put him. Just wait for this one to go on there. Put him into the job. I think that maybe some people might try and say higher. I disagree with you. I think we need to still see more from him. But at the end of this year, we'll have a better read of him, especially in a tough team like the Dolphins coming into the competition. Moving on now, we do go to the Canterbury Bulldogs, and it is going to be Jake Averillo. Now, Bulldogs fans, very loud. They're going to tell you he's the best fullback in the comp. It is what it is. You just got to put up with it, and you've got to understand outside of that. You take their opinion, cool, but also understand I don't know. I don't really know how to go with him because I don't see the same thing that the Bulldogs fans see. I think he's okay. I'm not going to be putting him in not that great by any means. And I think he's definitely a do-the-job fullback. But I don't see the specialness that all the Dogs fans do come out and say, oh, he's having a great season. He's the fullback that we want to go with in the future. I don't agree. I think that you probably still should be looking for a different fullback personally. But with that being said, what are your thoughts, man? What are you thinking about Jake Averillo?
Yeah, I think 2022 wasn't the greatest season for Jake Averillo. I think his 2021 season was absolutely fantastic, and he was that great fullback choice at Canterbury. He obviously played in the wing in 2020, so he's definitely had a lot of time to prove himself. And look, I understand that you wouldn't put him in not that great, but as a tier ranking here, I probably would have in the very high end, as much as I like Jake Averillo and watching him. But since you're not going to put him there, I guess we've got to put him in the low end of do the job.
I'd be putting him at very minimum. And this is at very minimum, I'm looking at least above Cody Ramsey, at least.
I was just thinking that maybe just above Cody Ramsey, which I don't have the ranking of everything there, but above Cody Ramsey in do the job, which is around that low to middle, is it?
Cody Ramsey right now is at the bottom of the job, and it's fair enough because there's Daine, Laurie above him, then Charnze, Nicoll-Klokstad, and then Hamiso, Tabuai-Fidow. So, Jake Averillo, I don't know. I'm feeling like I'd still put him above Daine Laurie. I feel like I would, even though I'm not the greatest fan. I feel like right now there's something telling me to put him above Daine Laurie. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I feel like I disagree. Because I think that, as I mentioned, that 2020, 2021 seasons were his seasons, whereas 2022, going into 23, there's not really much to be excited about. You could argue there's much more completeness about the Bulldogs with their signings, so maybe there's going to be more of that spark led.
I think he will have a better year with the Bulldogs because of the fact that they've got a better team, but I still think that their backs are worrying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think losing Shop is going to be a huge thing for them. Like, I really do. I think that that was a big loss in the centres. Obviously, out of cars there. But overall, if you look at those backs, like Averillo, I'm not even too sure who the other winger is other than Josh Adokar, who's absolutely fantastic. Obviously, the centres are a bit how you going. At least you've got Matty Burton of 6, and the 7's Cole Flanagan. Like, their forwards are great. It's a very similar predicament with the Tigers. The Tigers have both Tigers and Dogs actually might be very similar because I think the Dogs have a better outlook, but not top 8 just yet. But if you actually look at their teams, the backs are a bit dodgy, but the forwards are, really bang for your buck. I don't know. So I think the situation is going to help out Jake Averillo a lot more, though. I think the situation at the Dogs will help out Averillo a lot more as that fullback. And I don't know if you want to go below.
Okay. I guess, and obviously I haven't put out my ladder predictions, which is annoying. I guess seeing the Bulldogs having a better season than the Tigers puts him just above Daine Laurie, but we'll keep him there.
I just think it gives him more room. I think it gives him more room to be a great player, like a better player than what Laurie can do. But they're very equal guys. So for everyone watching, they're very equal in our opinion. You know, we're finding it tough to go between the two. But a man that's not going to be classified as equal here for me, Jamayne Isaako here from the Dolphins. Now, he's still wearing his Titans kit. I was excited about him coming to the Titans last year. I actually thought he was going to do pretty decently. Boy, was I wrong. I think the first game he was pretty good, and then Meaney fell off, and then he couldn't get that fullback spot, obviously, for a reason. And on the wing, I usually thought he was a better winger than he was a fullback. I always said at the Broncos, winger, not a fullback. Went to the wing, and just no, he wasn't great. Then proceeded to play for the Tweed Seagulls, and was a major part of the reason why they got knocked out. Like, it was a team effort that they choked that 24-0 lead or whatever it was. However, it was a big part of it, right? So I'm going to absolutely put him in not that great. I'm 100% going to put him in not that great. I don't think he's a fullback. And if this was a wingers tier list, I also probably would be bumping him down to that not that great. We are doing wingers with Hectic Fred. But for the fullbacks, I don't actually think there's an argument for him to do the job, because he didn't do it at the Broncos. And he didn't do it at the Titans, and now he's at a brand new team, and I don't even think he'll get the fullback spot at that team either.
Absolutely agree with you, and not that great. I disagree. In the wing, I'd put him in do the job, but as this is a fullbacks list, hasn't made it at the Broncos, hadn't made it at the Titans, 2 opportunity there. You mentioned it, he's a winger, and also in the Queensland Cup, same story. So, yeah, not that great.
Not that great. There you go. And in regards to the wing, did you actually watch him play for the Titans on the wing this year?
Yes, I watched a couple games, and he scored that match winner on the wing in Golden Point too.
He did in the wet weather. So, you know what? I'll give you that. But with that being said, 99% of the time on the wing for us, he was dreadful. But overall, he's not my problem anymore. So, he's gone to the Dolphins. And, best of luck to the bloke. I don't have any issues with the guy at all. I just think that he wasn't the greatest for us. It's unfortunate. It really is. Now, we move on to the polar opposite side of the spectrum, and it is going to be James Tedesco, and I'm not hearing it. He's going number 1, and I don't want to hear it, son. What are your thoughts about James Tedesco?
Yeah, he's an absolutely elite player. We've got to put him in number 1. He's had some fantastic seasons in rugby league. He's a premiership winner. He's an origin winner. He's done it all. Was he part? I'm sure he was, but I'm forgetting. Was he part of that Rugby League World Cup squad? I think he was at fullback. Was he?
When? This year?
Yes.
Absolutely.
There you go. Yes. So he's absolutely done it all. He's done it all in his career. He's never digressed as a player. He was right up there again for the Dally M. He was my pick for the Dally M, and out of nowhere he came storming home when that Roosters side went on that real big run towards the end. So yeah, very, very high elite. Probably the top at the moment.
I've got him in number 1. I don't think he changes. I think it's actually outrageous to even continue. I think there's a gap between him and second. I really do. I think there's a gap. He's the best player in the field for the Roosters. They've got a great team. Always the best player. He's a stabilizer. He's done it many times. He's won multiple premierships. He is the guy. He's the guy. And I was speaking today on one of the team makers that I would argue that he's definitely top 3 players in the game in all positions. But there is an absolute argument that this guy is number 1 too.
How many if you don't know, it's fine. How many man of the matches does he have during his Origin career? I believe during his Origin career, he'd have at least 3. I think at least 3.
Even when New South Wales lose, he still is the best player on the field for them. He's still the best player on the field for them. Obviously, like you said, done it with New South Wales, done it with Sydney, done it with Australia, even played for Italy in the World Cup, get around him. And was a part of the big 4 of the Tigers back in the day. Remember that? Remember the big 4 that included Aaron Woods and Luke Brooks, Tedesco, and I think it was Mitchell Moses, wasn't it? I think that was the big 4. God help us. That was the big 4. But yeah, Tedesco, number 1. And I'm actually going to put my foot down and say, I don't care who you try to put as number 1. It's not happening. It's just, I'm sorry, bro. We're not. It's
No,
not
I agree with
happening.
you. I agree with you. And there's a lot of people who say Tedesco is absolutely overrated, and I just
Well, they're
laugh at them.
Muppets. They're the biggest gooses that ever did goose. If you're listening and you think Tedesco's overrated, I just wanted to say that you're tacky and I hate you because you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Tedesco is best fullback, easy. And he's getting to a point where you can compare him to Billy Slater. You can actually make the argument for it, but I've got Billy Slater clear. I still do. But then again, I'm a Queenslander, but I think most people would still have Billy Slater clear. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. All right. We move on now to the greatest 10 that ever did greatest team. It is the Gold Coast Titans, and it's the other side of the 50-50 equation in Jayden Campbell going up against AJ Brimdog Millionaire. Jayden Campbell, I love this kid, man. I think he's got a great work ethic. Obviously, his dad, Preston Campbell, who he's trying to make his own name, but I do have to reference Presto, was a fantastic fullback and also 5'8". For the Sharkies and then also and Panthers, I think, as well, and then the Titans later on. But Jayden Campbell, he loves his club and he wants to do everything he possibly can. And I think he really has have a lot of potential. He's got a really difficult situation with him, though, where he doesn't know if I don't know if this is him, but I know that a lot of people talk about this. His body structure is quite, small framed, right? So you want to see him put on a few more kilos to, be a bigger guy and have a bit more durability and, just the way that the power. But if you do that, you lose the speed and the, enigmatic plays that he can make on the foot, on his feet. They're just so fast, man. He's such a fast-paced player. And as I said before, I think he's like top. He was top for line breaks from fullbacks or something like that last year, or tackle breaks maybe. Maybe it was tackle breaks, and it could have been across multiple positions too. I can't remember, but it was a great stat for him. It's really hard. He's got a great kicking game as well. It provides a really big boot, like a Matty Burton-esque boot. Not the same, but it's a big high boot on him. For me, I think that Jayden Campbell, there's no way I'm going to put him in quality just now, but I think he has the potential to be high in quality. I don't know about elite long-term in his career, but I'm not going to put what's it called? Handcuffs on him for that. I would put him right this very second, though, into the job. And I don't know where. I would love to hear what your opinion is on Jayden Campbell.
Well, I agree with you in regards to that do the job position. It'd be interesting to see who else we've got in do the job. I know we've got Cody Ramsey. I know we've got Jake Averillo, and I'd have to put him above then. And you mentioned his tackle breaks for the season, line breaks, just some fantastic stats and regularly in that fullback role throughout the 2022 season. Fantastic young player. So who else have we got besides the two names I've mentioned in do the job?
We've got at the top Hamiso, and then second is Charnze Nicoll-Klokstad, third is Averillo, fourth Laurie, and then fifth is Ramsey. I would be looking towards the upper end of do the job compared with these guys' names. With these guys' names, I think that Jayden Campbell's definitely up towards the top area.
Man, you really could make an argument above Hamiso. You really, really could. I'm going to do it. Let's do it. Let's put him in the high end of do the job. I think that's where he is in his career.
I'm not going to argue it because I love the bloke, but say what you want to say.
Well, not only that, just the fact that, look, obviously Hammer's a great player and he's opened up some big games. He's fast as a car, but he just hasn't started as much as Jayden Campbell. Jayden Campbell has either come off the bench or started at fullback and is making, and I'm not saying that Hammer's going to be left out in the Dolphins, but Jayden is making more of a career for himself at this club. So that's why, and as you mentioned, probably will be quality in the years to come. So, yeah, I would put him at the top of do the job right now.
The hardest thing for Jayden right now is that he has a really good player that we've already got above him in AJ Brimson, that he's at the club as well. That's the most difficult thing because both these guys deserve that number one spot at the Titans. They do. AJ Brimson is basically a club legend already because he's grown through the system. He's a Gold Coast boy, Brimdog Millionaire, Prince of Palmy. He's a fantastic bloke, loves his team, and has grown through the system. Same thing with Jayden. Jayden is a Gold Coast boy because he grew up here with his dad, obviously here. Presto's still got a great thing with his club. It's so hard because Jayden, if you're pushing yourself to be potentially above and keeping Brimdog Millionaire out of that fullback spot, then you know that he's going to be up there. So, look, I think some Cowboys fans, Cowboys fans because they still love Hamiso, and also some fans might be like, oh, maybe that's a bit high. You're wanking about a Titans player, typical PKR. I really couldn't care less. You want to go into the comment section and tell me I'm wrong and tell Hayden he's wrong as well. Be my guest, But I don't think you can argue with what we're saying. So do you have anything else to say about that?
Not really, no.
There we go. All righty. So we'll go now into Kalyn Ponga from the Newcastle Knights, who is apparently not actually going to be playing fullback this year, but we've got plenty of space to actually rank him still as a fullback, even though he's probably going to be playing as the 5'8" for the Knights, which I kind of disagree with. I think that for me, Kalyn Ponga is definitely a fullback. And I think everyone wants to put a fullback into that 5'8" spot because of Darren Lockyer and how successful he was. But Kalyn Ponga for me is an out-and-out fullback. What are your thoughts about Kalyn Ponga in that fullback role?
Well, they tried Kalyn Ponga at 5'8" a few years ago. I forget which coach it was under, and it wasn't the same coach, but it didn't work. So I think it was Nathan Brown at the time. So it's going to be really interesting. He had a huge Origin series, absolutely huge Origin series, Kalyn Ponga. But in regards to his time at the Knights, obviously he spent a bit of time injured, and there were some good games, but I mean, you definitely can't put him in do the job, but I wouldn't put him in elite. Maybe a few years ago I would have, but I would put him in the very high end of quality. And look, man, personally, based off some moments, I'm going to put him above AJ Brimson.
I've got him above AJ, especially with the fact that he plays Queensland and the fact that he really did well in Queensland last year. The only issue is that when it's at the Knights, but the thing is that the Knights, there's no way I'm going to put AJ above him. But I think on his day, I think AJ can be. But then again, the thing is on a consistent level, Kalyn is still energetic. I still do like him as a fullback. I would put the consistency and previously I would have put Ponga above Gutho. But I think I'm going to take him below him now because at the Knights, it obviously doesn't work for him. And I know he signed an massive contract. I think that was a bad decision for him. But the Dolphins aren't going to help his situation either anyway, to be honest with you. It's a very similar aspect. I'd probably prefer to be at the Dolphins and the Knights right this second, though, because I still think that they're going backwards. But yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll put him in. I think we'll put him below Gutho. Some people will still look to the nostalgia of 4 years ago when he was stepping loosey-gooseys left and right. But I think nowadays, I'd need to see him do it again. And he hasn't done it again. And I think at the end of this year, it's going to be hard to rank him because he's not going to probably play for most of it. And then he'll go back to a position if he doesn't work out at 5'8". And I don't know if he'll be able to fit right back in. I don't know. It's going to be it's an interesting one here for Kalyn. So we'll put him. So you had him below Gutho, above Brimo, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we've gone with. All right.
Yep.
Let's move on now to Lattrell Mitchell here of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And I think we do have to put him into elite. However, there is parts of Lattrell's game. Actually, it's a hard one because you could make an argument for top of quality. Lattrell's game on his moments is he can make an argument for best fullback in the game on his moments. But there is also a lot of moments where it just doesn't work out. And then there's also a lot of, discrepancy issues where, he gets in trouble with the referee and can have those. And also, unfortunately, and this is what I love about Lattrell Mitchell as a fan of the Titans, because I get into the heads of players all the time. Josh Schuster, hello, son. Hello, my son. But if Lattrell Mitchell was closer to me, I'd be able to get into his head easy. So if you're a fan going to games, you could easily get into this guy's head. It's very, very hard to rank him because I think that he's such an electric player, but there is the argument for top of quality because of the reasons that I mentioned. What would you say?
I can understand the argument you're making, but I think coming back from his injury, I think he's at that low end of elite. We'll see who else is in there by the end of this to see he's above, but I think he's earned that elite category. He definitely... Look, the Ferrari stays in the garage sometimes in those big games, and you don't even notice that he's on the field. But for the most part, it was absolutely his season last year. I would make the argument that he was the kind of Trbojevic of 2022. Trbojevic was obviously that massive 2022.
Nowhere near that level, but I understand in regards to media hype, yes.
Yeah. Well, I think in regards to playing ability, it was close. It wasn't on the level.
Statistically, nowhere close. Nowhere close.
I guess statistics definitely speak for themselves as well. And you mentioned the media hype, but I think after that season, he's proved himself as elite. And
I think what you're talking about, I agree with you. I'm going to put him in elite as well. But I think what you're talking about is obviously he's a really big polarizing figure. He's loud. He's a loud player. Off the field, on the field, his presence. I think that's what you're noticing. Statistically speaking, not even close to Trbojevic in regards to that year, because that was one of the best seasons ever, like a Ben Barber 2012 and a Jared Hayne 2009, right? And that's what you're kind of comparing to, which is not fair on the other three guys there. But Yeah, I know what you're saying in regards to the way that he plays and his presence. Are you talking like you want to put him above Edwards? Because I'm not even looking at Tedesco. Are you wanting to put him above or below Edwards?
I'm going to put him below Edwards.
Mm.
I think a lot of people in the comments are going to go, stuff you. But yeah, I think I'm going to put him below Edwards based on the 2022 season.
I agree. And going into this year, he's got a lot of pressure on him. I think that he has definitely the ability to go above Edwards this year. I think that actually by the end of this year, I'm going to make a call here. By the end of this year, Trell Mitt will go above Edwards. I will say that because I think that he's going to have a big year. However, there are still issues in his game that he has to iron out. And the big one is keeping his mind in the game. I know if he was close to me at Titans games, unfortunately, I'm on the sideline. He's over there. I know if I was close to him, I would guarantee be able to get into this guy's head. Guaranteed. It is not hard. So if you're a fan of an opposition team and you're close to him, I know you can talk to him on the field. And sometimes it works for him and it motivates him, and sometimes it doesn't. And his issues in regards to not having that hot temper also come into freight. That's why we're down there. But he's still, with all this negativity that we're still kind of putting out there, I definitely have him in elite because he just is, when he takes over a game, holy shit, he takes over a goddamn game. So I'm talking about elite, below Edwards. I can understand the argument for above him. Just get into the comment section and roast us all you like. Be my guest. But we move on now to the Melbourne Storm, and it is Nick Meaney, who obviously was at the Dogs. Is there realistically as the fullback because Papa now, little mullet man, little puppy, little mullet man, little puppy, little mullet man, little puppy is always obviously injured. He's injured now anyway. So Nick Meaney usually goes from the wing spot to the fullback spot for that very reason. He gets enough games there due to the unfortunate injuries that Pappenhausen has. I don't think I'm going to be ranking him too highly, though. I think that he's definitely a okay fullback, but there's nothing special there. What would you say about Nick Meaney?
Yeah, I think I'm going to put him in not that great. And I think that the big thing is, and you mentioned Pappenhausen, Little Puppy, whatever that nickname was.
Little puppy.
Spending all that time being out, he's had a chance to prove himself. And the Melbourne Storm's record in 2022 wasn't that great, obviously finishing outside the top four. And in some of those games, if you probably had some of those bigger players, they probably go on to win. But he's just shown in those big moments that he can't step up. But look, I think Nick Meaney is a winger, kind of like, I guess not. I think he's much better than Jamayne Isaako, but he's a much better winger than he is a fullback. So the argument can be made that he's outside of not that great for the wing, but as a fullback, I would put him in not that great.
Do you believe that Cody Ramsey is a better fullback than Nick Meaney?
Yes. Okay. I do.
We'll leave him there. It's just,
I would like to see. I just
feel like Cody Ramsey is a little bit of an outlier right now.
I would like to see Cody Ramsey's stats in 2022. I think he had a pretty big season from memory. I do remember watching some games and going, "Holy shit!"
Okay, I'm happy like to keep him there. It's just like I feel like he's a bit of an outlier when I look at Jayden Campbell, Hamiso, Tabuai-Fidow, Nicoll-Klokstad, Averillo, and Laurie. But I'll take your word for it in regards to Ramsey there. And hopefully you guys in the comment section and whatnot will tell me, why I'm wrong. But I just feel like maybe, look, you probably are right in regards to Cody Ramsey being better than me. But
all I've got here, Cody Ramsey 2022, 15 games played, 9 won, 6 games lost from the Dragons, so 60% win rate. 6 tries in 9 games, 50 kicking meters. I guess that doesn't really count. 10 line breaks across those games, 4 try assists, and 91 tackles made with 82% tackle efficiency. 1,700 run meters. So, pretty big season and a kick return of 540 across those
okay to
games.
have him in. Yeah, I'm okay to have him there. I just think maybe just the way that I look at the Dragons jersey right now, just feel it brings you down because of the way that they are as a team. That's what I'm just thinking, maybe.
That's where they're heading.
It is what it is, Dragons fans, and I know you can agree with me. I know you can. You might hate me or you like, but I know you can agree with me that it just is so, the organisation just isn't doing anything. And then I have to hear bloody not Anthony Griffin. What's his name? The coach of the Dragons right now.
Yeah, Anthony Griffin.
Oh, it is Anthony Griffin. Yeah, it's just I have to hear them come out and say, they'll win a couple of games at the beginning of the season. You're not gonna, mate. You're not gonna. I don't know, man. You probably can't.
Even the what was it that the players didn't turn up to? The awards night.
Man. Anyway, we're not getting off topic, but the Dragons, they really tick me off because their fan base is solid. They've got a great fan base. They've got great history, but they're always just an absolute shambles in this last few years, and they're refusing to rebuild in a proper way, in my personal opinion. But then again, what do I know, eh? I'm just a creator. But you watch, a couple of years down the track, they'll be like, okay, well, we're going to do this now, and we're actually going to, start to refresh this team. Great, because you're not doing it right now. Let's move on now to a hard one to do because he's at a brand new club. Reece Walsh for the... By the way, Cody Ramsey just hijacked that Nick Meaney one. We've put him at the top end of not that great. We've put him above Jamayne Isaako for everyone. But I don't think Nick Meaney's really the one that people are really kind of tuning in for here, because he will only be there for maybe one game towards the beginning part of the season as Puppy still, Puppy comes back from the injury. But we move now on to Reece Walsh of the Brisbane Broncos. What are your thoughts about Reece Walsh's transition to the Broncos team?
It's going to be very different seeing him at the Broncos next year, but I think you've said this quite a few times, so I'm going to take your quote that his stocks have dropped dramatically.
Very nice.
Look, he's had some good games, probably some man of the match worthy games for the Warriors, which isn't saying too much throughout the 2022 season. Based on the season, there is definitely an argument for not that great, but based on what we've seen as a fullback and going into a club with your Adam Reynolds and your Payne Haas, your bigger type of players, I think he's at the lower end of do the job. I'm trying to think who else is there, but I would probably put him below Daine Laurie.
Oh, boy, Broncos fans are going to hate you, and I love that. Get that into my bloody veins, the Broncos fans don't like that. I am going to make an argument for why I agree with you, but I do have him higher than where you're putting him. But I absolutely agree with you. Now, his defense is dreadful. His defense is terrible. However, I do think that was also a Warriors issue. And I do think that him going into the Brisbane Broncos their defense as a club is way better than the Warriors there. I know that they're susceptible to, choking. I know the Titans are too before Broncos fans getting there. They're just 2 games against them. But at least we didn't choke the entire season from a top 4 spot with like 4 weeks to go. Yeah. The Broncos are a really hard team to read going this year because they do have players there, but they also have a lot of up and down players that you just don't know what you're going to get from them necessarily. And that's all in the forwards. That's definitely the backs, specifically, they're 5'8" in Ezra Man and also in Reece Walsh. His attack is electric when he's on, but it's just that defense that really does hamper him. And I don't think attacking-wise, he actually did that well for the Warriors last year as well. However, we know what he can do. I would still put him above Averillo for sure, absolutely. And I think that I would say that I would put him maybe above Nicoll-Klokstad because I know that at least Reece Walsh is going to get the starting gig at the Broncos. And we still know what Reece Walsh has the ability to do. He had a fantastic season a couple of years ago. It's just that right this very second, oh, man, there's no way I'm putting him above Hamiso or Jayden. No chance. He needs to sort that defense out. And he needs to get back to the form that he once was. But yes, the stocks have dropped massively. I would personally still put him above Nicoll-Klokstad.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Obviously, I don't have that list of players there, but like that kind of middle tier of do the job.
100%. So yeah, we'll put him above Nicoll-Klokstad there, below Hamiso. I guarantee you Broncos fans will have their knickers in a knot there. They'll get upset that they'll be like, "Big ass being bloody mean to the Broncos again. Stop it." I don't give a shit. Cry all you like. I'm just giving you a realistic opinion about your fullback. Yeah, I really am. And that was how the Broncos fans sound. I'm sorry, it's just how you sound. That's how you sound. Don't even apologize for it. But let's move on now. Just before we move on here, is that you had him lower. I argued for Reece Walsh to be higher. I'm getting in and defending myself against you Broncos fans, and this video is not coming out for 2 weeks. So now I know how you guys are coming. I know how you guys are in the comment section. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. But let's move on now to Are you having fun over there, Hayden?
Yeah, it's good listening to the banter between you and the Broncos. Great rivalry.
Boy. Yeah, it's just funny because I can't see you right now, obviously, but I just could imagine how you are just sitting there, just listening to me rant about Brisbane, man. But they're all Muppets anyway, so it doesn't really matter. They probably can't even listen to this because their IQ is too low. But let's move on now to Reuben Garrick here for Manly. Now, the reason why we do have to chuck in Reuben Garrick for the Seagulls is because, look, Trebojevic obviously has been out for quite a bit. Ruben Garrick usually is the guy that goes into that fullback spot there. Trebojevic is right now injured still. I don't know if he plays round one. Don't know how long his injury is for. But Ruben Garrick, for me, I'd say bang on is a do-the-job player. But where would you put him into the job, and what's your opinion of Ruben Garrick?
I rate Ruben Garrick. I absolutely can't give a bigger rap of this guy. I think he's so underrated. And I think fullback isn't his position, personally. I think he is much better on the wing. But I definitely agree that he is that high end of do the job. Who is the highest player we have in do the job at the moment? Jayden Campbell and...
I'm not putting... I wouldn't be putting Ruben Garrick in as a fullback above Jayden Campbell or Hamiso. Or I'd put him above Reece. I think that if I was going to look at a spot off the top of my head right now without even really thinking, above Reece Walsh, but below... No, below Reece Walsh. I'd still go below Reece Walsh.
Damn, no, I disagree. Oh, I guess I got to agree with you because we've got to come to an agreement there. But
if you really fight for it, and I agree with you, then we'll put him above.
I think Ruben Garrick was one of the biggest surprises. I think a lot of people expected it not to work because they've tried it before, having him at fullback. And although Manly didn't have the greatest season in 2022, I think he was kind of that shining light for them and that chance to keep them fighting alive. And I really think he surprised a lot of people making that fullback spot his, because obviously they had thought about having Tabuai-Fidow there as well, but it was always Garrick being there.
Tabuai-Fidow.
That's a tough name.
I get it. Keep going.
But yeah, I think he's at that high end of do the job. And I think I'd have him between Hammer and
you're going to put him above Hammer.
Jayden Campbell.
I feel
like I want to put him above Hammer, but I think from what we've seen, Hammer as a complete fullback, I think I'd put him just below Hammer, but just above Jayden Campbell. It's very close between those two.
No, I'm not putting him above Jayden Campbell. I'm not putting Ruben Garrick above Jayden Campbell.
Well, just under Jayden Campbell then.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think that because Ruben Garrick for me is a winger, I still think that Ruben Garrick as a whole is still a very, very much... Like, I think he does his job very, very well, but I think he's the primo do the job. I think he's a very similar player in regards to like an Anthony Don, right? Who is... You love him. He's a great winger. He'll do what he needs to do, but he's not, he's not quality. But like Anthony Don was one of our most successful wingers of all time. But I don't necessarily know how many times every time. If we had been doing this for the last, 15 years and we had Don in for the years that he was at the club, I don't think how many times he would have got into the quality section. It's not because that he's bad. It's just the kind of player that he is. And I think that Ruben Garrick is that kind of player. It's just when I look at players, I look at X Factor. And that's why I still look at Reece Walsh. I still look at Hamiso and definitely Jayden as that X Factor. And I think that Jayden I wouldn't even necessarily even look at it. I don't think that Ruben Garrick is a better fullback than him. But I do think he's better on the wing. I'd be okay if you want to put him above Hamiso, but I definitely prefer him to be down, at least below Hamiso. No, definitely not below Reece. His defense needs so much help.
At the moment, is Jayden Campbell and then Hamiso?
It's what I'm saying is you can choose this. Either it's above Hamiso or below Hamiso.
Below Hamiso. It's close. It's close, and he could get more games there with Tommy Turbo being out. But
I was expecting you to say above because you've been arguing it for the last couple of minutes.
Look, I've been arguing that he's definitely that high end of do the job. You can't put him in the quality, but I guess it's not his position, whereas Hammer traditionally is that kind of fullback
is
player.
The guy. Yeah, he's the guy. I think that you're not going to go wrong with Ruben Garrick. I will put him below Hamiso, above Reece Walsh. If you guys, this is crazy that we're actually having this long of a discussion about Ruben Garrick. I never would have expected that because of the fact that that's the type of player, the style of player he is. But I agree with you. I still think he's great. Don't get me wrong. I just think do the job. There's a lot of guys who do the job, which is a worrying sign of the NRL right now in regards to fullbacks. There's a lot of guys here right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 4. There's 8 guys who do the job. 3 in elite, 3 in quality, 2 are not that great, and 1 in improvement. So there's a lot in that tier. But it's a sign of where the NRL is at right now. You're going halfbacks, and halfbacks have skyrocketed. You see this every year. If you guys watch every year, you see the differences. But yeah, we'll put Garrick there below Hamiso. All right, next up here, we do go to the little Malamelu Bappy. It is Ryan Pappenhausen of the Melbourne Storm. Difficult, injured. When he's on, my God, when he's on, elite. but also he's not always playing. He's out a lot. It's like this is what we're going to come to with Trbojevic too. I guarantee you. You know, I guarantee this will be the conversational point with Trbojevic, which would have been unheard of. Sorry, I don't know where I got third. Unheard of a couple of years ago. Where are you putting Ryan Papenhuyzen? I'm interested in this because he is a phenomenal player, but also injury prone.
This is very, very hard. This is a lot harder than I thought because all video I'm thinking elite, but and I wouldn't put him anywhere near Tedesco.
I'm thinking it's either. This is where I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's either it's either below Lattrell or above Gutho. I'm not willing to put him below Gutho. Not willing.
No, I'm willing to put him above Gutho, but I feel like I would put him in elite rather than quality. I think he's proven himself as elite, and I think the fact that he is primarily scoring additional points, goals for the Melbourne Storm as well. Obviously not at the moment.
Field goals too.
Field goals. He just does it all. Try assists, tries, hat tricks. I think he is an elite player, and I'm going to put him above Clint Gutherson at the bottom of elite. But if he stays injury-free, he can progress to a higher spot in his career for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's so tough with injuries because I don't know. I honestly, God help us with Trbojevic in a moment. But Papenhuyzen, he's got less injuries than Trbojevic, so it's not as prominent, but it is a thing with the little bubby. You know, I'm happy to put him in elite because when he's on, God damn it, he's on. He scores 4 tries in the space of like 5 minutes. Like, he's just outrageous, the pace that he's got. And he suits that Storm system so well. And Storm always know how to get a good fullback. You know, let's have a look at it for a second. Billy Slater, you know, into Cameron Munster, who's still a fantastic fullback. And then they've also now got Little Mulliman and Buppy. And Nico Hines was there. You know, Nico Hines was playing well as a fullback. He couldn't even get a spot. That's why they had to give him to the Sharkies. This team just always finds the best fullbacks, man. Once Craig Bellamy goes, it'll be a bit of a different story. But for the time being, you got to be excited about what Puppy can do. So I'm happy.
And Nick Meaney
of elite. You're a muppet. Let's move on now. We've got 6 guys to go here. Nick Meaney, the guy that we've got top and not that great right now. You're an idiot. All right, now let's go to the final 6, and it is going to be Scotty Drinkwater here from the Cowboys. Yeah, he's the fullback. Sorry, I was getting confused for a second because a couple of years ago he wasn't the fullback. It was Hamiso. Scotty Drinkwater for the Cowboys. What a year that he had in 2022. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, very tough one again. You probably would... Oh, God. Look, there is definitely an argument for the bottom end of quality. But again, I think he's more of a high-end do the job. Obviously, the Cowboys surprised everyone making finals last year. Scotty made that fullback jersey his and probably will be his for years to come. He was disincluded out of the squad for a long time as well, quite a few games there to start the season. Based on the season he had going into this season, the argument can be made for quality. But in regards to him being a fullback in his career, I feel like he's at the very top of do the job. Because I feel like he's under some of those players that we've put in quality.
Yeah, I agree. I would put Scott Drinkwater still above Jayden because he had that really bang year. I would say. I think that it would be too much to put him after 1 year in quality. I think that's just a little bit too much because it has only been the one breakout year. But he has made that fullback spot his own. So I'm pretty happy to put him above Jayden, because at least he was a big influential part of the Cowboys in 2022. Need to see it again, though. And if he does do it again, he'll be, it's going to be between him and Brimmer. It'll be between him and Brimmer next year in quality. Depending on the situation of the Titans and depending on if the Cowboys aren't a flash in the pan and can do it again. So top of do the job. And that's another one, by the way. Another one to do the job. There's now 9 guys there. Wow. Maybe we're harsh markers. I don't know. Let us know in the comment section. But last 5 here, and we do get to he's wearing the Brisbane Broncos jersey, but he's going to the New Zealand Warriors. It is Tamari Martin, who I believe will get the fullback spot. What are your thoughts about Tamari Martin going over to the New Zealand Warriors and holding out Nicoll-Klokstad from that position, which is obviously where he held it for at the Raiders?
Well, I think it's the right choice for the Warriors going forward. As good as Charnze used to be at a fullback, I think Tamari is looking more and more comfortable. There definitely are some errors and defense, kind of like Reece Walsh reminded again, within his game. But as an attacking player, as far as it goes, try assists, running the ball, I think he's a fantastic player. We've put a lot of players in do the job, so he probably could could put him
No,
in.
you know where he's going to go. I know you know where he's going to go. I know you know where he's going to go here. He's going to go into the job. But where is he going to go into the job? Is my question.
He's going to go in the. He's going to go in the high to middle. He's not above Jayden Campbell.
Well, right now we've got where I'd be looking at.
Above Jake Averillo.
I definitely above Jake Averillo. I would put him above Nicoll-Klokstad simply because he's also holding him out for that position. And they did sign Nicoll-Klokstad to be fullback, but then they got Jamayne Martin, and that's a step up for them. So that means that they also recognise that Jamayne Martin's the fullback. Obviously requiring or waiting to see that is actually the case. Right now, it's kind of I'm weighing up between either above. I'd personally say that I would go above Ruben Garrick.
Yeah, I think based on going into this season, the fact that he's secured that spot at another club, being as a fullback, I think I'd agree with that as well.
All right, we'll go there. I feel like this is a bit rough for Reece Walsh at the moment, but I also understand how bad his defense is. So, big year needs to be happening there for Reece Walsh at the Broncos. Next, final four, we get to probably the most polarizing figure here in regards to this list that no one's going to agree on, I actually believe. You'll see some people say Tom Tabuai-Fidow is first. You'll see some people say second. You'll see some people say quality. You'll also say some people will, and obviously this is not what we're going to do here, but some people will say due to the consistent and frequent injuries that he has, which is obviously uncontrollable, but they would put him down lower because of the fact, and I'm talking, a lot of people would also still make an argument for not that great based on the fact that he's not really on the field ever. Had that one fantastic year and we know what he can do. I'm definitely going to still put him in an elite. I know what he can do, and I know that if he is fit and healthy, and it's uncontrollable in regards to injuries. However, he is so injury prone. What are you thinking in regards to Tom Tabuai-Fidow? Because there's no way that anyone can't understand what I'm saying here.
I really want to put him in elite. I really do, but I feel like I would put him above. Is Clint Gutherson at the highest point of quality at the moment?
He has to be top. If he's going in quality, he has to be top of quality. Yeah, because Gutho's second, Kalyn, Ponga
absolutely. No argument made there. I personally think he is a fantastic player. He had that massive 2021 season. 2022 was quite a lot of injury time. And yeah, I feel like he's at that top of quality. I feel like he has a chance to go back to that elite, obviously going over to America to try and repair.
Oh, absolutely. If he's fit and healthy, he goes to 2. If he's fit and healthy, he goes to 2 next year. But it's just there's too many injuries, man. Man.
It's sad.
It absolutely is sad because it's uncontrollable. And I think with little puppy, like at least with him, he's not. He does play more. Like he is playing more. They're very much in a similar position here. I think, and I'm going to say this in regards to Puppy, I do believe that Tabuai-Fidow is a better player than Puppy when he's on. Do you agree?
I think they're pretty close. I really do. I think when they're both on, if they're in a battle against each other, they're both scoring a double each. They're both getting try assists each.
Okay, well, how about this one? If they're both not injured, if Tabuai-Fidow is not injured, let's say they've had a completely healthy career and Pappenhausen and Tabuai-Fidow have both had completely healthy careers. Based on what you've seen, who goes above the other?
Tabuai-Fidow.
Okay, so now the argument that I'm going to make here is
that probably primarily goes off the fact that Tabuai-Fidow has been an Origin player as well. Look, Pappenhausen's knocked on the door, but you think about, I think it was the game where they absolutely smashed us, but Tabuai-Fidow had a blinder. I think he's got a hat trick in the centres, so he can play different positions as well. So, okay, we're putting Tabuai-Fidow above Pappenhausen in elite.
No, that's not what I'm arguing. What I'm saying is that Pappenhausen should go below Tabuai-Fidow in quality.
Okay, yeah. An argument can be made. It's a hard one.
Actually, you know what? We'll go with what you just said, actually. I think I've convinced myself based on what you just said. Tabuai-Fidow above Pappenhausen, but both in elite, but right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because that's giving respect to 2 guys who are just simply superb in their position and unbelievable. I think it is rough on them to be in that quality. I think quality doesn't suit them. No, not at all.
Yeah,
I think that they definitely deserve to be an elite. But Tabuai-Fidow for me is above Pappenhausen. And this still gives them respect, but there is a little bit of a a gap there between Trell and those two for the time being until let's just hope to God, touch wood. There's no wood here, touch my head. Just pray to God that obviously these guys get through healthy because we want to see the fittest and the best in the game. We want to see them play. When they're playing, it's incredible to watch. It's what a rando said the other night. He was saying, buddy, he's basically he was getting rowdy over a couple of players. Arousal. He's getting aroused over a couple of the players there. So that's sneak peek for the front rowers. But yeah, they provide great arousal when these guys are rocking on. So yeah, definitely elite. It's frustrating, these two. But man, please be healthy because I look forward to seeing you. Final three now. We get to Tyrell Sloan of the Dragons. Has he played enough? How much has he played? Because I really don't know a fantastic amount about Tyrell Sloan, but when I've seen him, nothing has really been said alight for me.
Absolutely nothing has been said alight. I'm going to look at his stats and how he played, but I personally, from what I've seen and the fact that I expected him to have that breakout year last year, I think he was playing in I think it might have been the Indigenous Maori game. And I think I said to him, like, this is your year. And that didn't really happen. So I think he's at the high end of not that great. But let me check his stats for 2022 to kind of compare it as well. He only played 8 games, lost 5 of those games, won 3. He scored 1 try throughout the season. Really not that good. 2 line breaks, 49 tackles made, 13 missed. And ran for 500 meters. So really not that good, especially at fullback as well, because he only had a couple games there when Cody Ramsey was, I think, injured at one point. But yeah, I think he's at the high
I
end
would
of
make
not
the
that
argument.
great.
I'd make the argument below Meaney above Isaako.
I would. Yeah, I guess you could put it between. I guess you could put it between. I was going to say I could make the argument above. No.
He's above Isaako.
He's above Isaako. Is he better than Meaney? No.
Meaney is the guaranteed second option at a Storm team that is, plethora of fantastic talent in that fullback position. So, I believe more in, like, if we're going to go based on those two, I believe more on what Craig Bellamy says than Anthony Griffin. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's no guarantee that Tyrell Sloan gets it. Cody Ramsey could get it. Tyrell Sloan could get it. It's really up in the air there, man. I don't know. I don't rate him based on what I've seen. Can you quickly go and look at the 2021 stats and tell me how many games he played? Because if he's only played 8 games, there is also an argument for improving.
5 games in 2021. 4 games lost, 1 game won. 6 tries.
These stats aren't great, eh?
Nah, 6 tries in 5 games. Better tackle percentage of 79% with 52 tackles. But then again, the run meters, 500 running meters, they're not that great, are they?
They're not great. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay to leave him down there underneath Meaney, above Isaako. Let us know in the comment section if you've got an opinion on that. However, it's also the Dragons, man. Looking at the jersey, it's just right now. I have no problem with the Dragons as a team. It's just the situation, It's not fantastic. I wouldn't want to be a Dragons fan. If a Titans fan's saying this to you, there's an issue. There's an issue. We get to the final 2 now, and we're at the Cronulla Shaggies. We've got William Kennedy here. This is actually interesting. Where would you put William Kennedy?
I think I'd have to put William do the job. I think a few people would be putting him in quality, which I think is outrageous. Sharks fans are going to come at me here, but I actually think Will Kennedy is an overrated player. I really do. I think he's definitely got some.
I kind of agree. I kind of agree.
But I think Will Kennedy, a lot of people ride him a bit too much, in the best way to say it.
Mate, we've already been talking about arousal and stuff like that. Say it however you want.
Yeah, so I feel like he's in that do the job. I'm just trying to remember again who else we've got there, if you can go through that.
We've got, right now in the do the job, we've got Scott Drinkwater, Jayden Campbell, Hamiso, Tamari Martin, Ruben Garrick, Reece Walsh, Nicoll-Klokstad, Averillo, Daine Laurie, and then Cody Ramsey.
I would put Will Kennedy above Hamiso, personally, because of the career that he has had, and he's had more time to do it as well, and he's locked up that kind of fullback spot as well. So for me, I would put Will Kennedy at Hamiso, but I think there's a chance he could lose that jersey. There are other players knocking on that door.
Lockie Miller.
Dykes? No, is it Dykes? Cade Sykes? I forget the name.
Cade Dykes or Wykes or something like that. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, players like that.
I will agree to you an extent. I will agree to you where he is, but I'm going to bump him up a spot above Jayden. I will put him above one spot above Jayden because one, Will Kennedy is locked on as that fullback spot at the Sharks. Two, they came second. Three, I still think he's a very good stabilizer fullback. I don't think he's an X factor fullback. I think he's a lesser version of a Clint Gutherson in a lot of ways. I think Clint Gutherson is the clearing out, I guess, if you're going to look at a play style that's similar, I would say Clint Gutho there. But obviously, yeah, I'd put him down to do the job. I'd still put him below Scott Drinkwater because I think that Drinkwater's going to have another good year this year. It'll be hard, though. It'll be interesting to see with the Cowboys, as I said. But I would put him above Jayden because I think that Jayden still has a lot to prove. And I think that Will Kennedy has proven enough to put himself at least at the top end there, but just not high enough to be in quality. And I think that most people should be able to agree. Would you agree with what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I think I agree with that, especially based on that 2022 season that we are going off into and how good the Sharks went. So, yeah, I will agree with that one.
All righty, there we go. So we will put Will Kennedy into second into the job. And that's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Deary me. With 8 above them. I don't mind it, though. At least it shows there is clearing out quality over, quality over quantity is what we'll say there in the game. But we move on to the final man now. Final man, it is Ricky Stewart's man at the fullback helm. It is Xavier Savage with the Canberra Raiders. What are your thoughts about Xavier Savage? Because he kind of flew onto the scene last year, kind of. It's a weird one because he had like hype, but then also didn't as well. What are your thoughts about Xavier Savage?
There are a lot of issues in Xavier Savage's game. I think under a high ball, he's not that great. I think the way that he runs with the ball in one hand is stupidity, and one day a tackle is going to cause that to be lost. The defense isn't great, but he still puts the Raiders into a position where if they're big name players like your Jack Whiten or your, I guess, Josh Papali'i at moments aren't stepping up, that he will step up and win those games for them. So in saying that, even though I have a lot of criticism for him, I'm probably going to put him as our 12th player and do the job.
I knew it was coming.
I probably would put him. Who's under Jayden Campbell?
Hamiso.
I think Hamiso is better. I really do. Who's under Hamiso?
Tamari Martin.
I would put him above Tamari Martin. Between Tamari Martin and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, I feel like that is an appropriate spot to put him, even though I think that he is just not the greatest of fullback, and I still question whether it's his position.
I am going to say I'm in a similar boat. I think that potential-wise, he has a potential, but then so do a lot of players, I am looking at the same area, and I'm trying to figure out, because we've got Hamiso, then Tamari Martin, Ruben Garrick, Reece Walsh. I think he is in the exact same situation right now as Reece Walsh in going into this year. I think he's in the exact same situation where there is hype around him, but I think Reece Walsh is also, I would say, potential-wise, Reece Walsh has more potential than Xavier Savage. Would you disagree with that?
No, I think if he was at the Warriors, yes, I'd disagree with it. The fact that he is going to a club like the Broncos that have, I guess, your sold-out stadiums, your big fan base.
But Brisbane, you wish you sold out stadiums. They're like 30K. But yes, I know what you're saying. Keep going.
And then obviously I mentioned those players earlier, your Adam Reynolds, your Payne Haas, that yes, probably this season there's more hype around the Broncos than there is about the Raiders. So I could understand putting him below Reece Walsh there. It's a pretty good spot. But then again, I feel like...
Because that's right above Nicoll-Klokstad, by the way. That will be right above Nicoll-Klokstad, who he did take out, take over for.
I think in that case, I think you would have to move Ruben Garrick under Xavier Savage purely because Xavier Savage has that fullback spot, whereas Ruben Garrick's more of that wing. And as much as I love Ruben, I feel like boot him under Savage and put Savage under Walsh.
Yeah, I like it. And this is what I was trying to say. Oh, I don't know where that's gone. Where did he go? Where's he gone? Oh, here we go. Oh, no. Where did I put him? Oh, there we go. Okay, so Savage under Walsh. I like that reasoning. And then Garrick under Savage. So we've got right now Reece Walsh, Xavier, Tamari Martin, Reece Walsh, Xavier Savage, and then Ruben Garrick. Is that what and then Nicoll-Klokstad. Are you agreeing with that?
Absolutely agreeing with that one.
Yeah, I like it. I actually really like that. I think it was a great decision late on there to the switcheroo. I think that's the most switcheroo we've ever done on any team maker in one go, switching, between three guys there. But I do really like it. Yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic list, to be completely honest with you, man. I think that you cannot really argue with the 5 elite. You can't argue. I don't believe you can argue with quality. I think there's going to be a few Titans haters out there who will try and talk shit about Brimo in that quality, but you're an absolute goose if you don't think he's in quality in that fullback position. Played most of the season last year at 5'8" because we were in such a shambles as a club. But I believe he'll go back to that fullback spot this year with Kieran Foran coming to the club and Verrills, and I think Toby will get that 7th spot. So I think that there's no argument there, really. But then, this do the job section, I think is pretty bang on, to be completely honest with you. What would you say overall would be the most contentious discussion point that we had throughout this video?
Probably the Tom Trbojevic fact, whether to put him in that elite or quality position.
Still an elite, though.
Purely because he is there in elite, but I think the argument can be made, was it a one-season wonder? Which we both agree that it wasn't, but I think a lot of people will start to think, how many seasons or how many games has he actually played across his career? But as I mentioned, those factors of origin, I think that's why that's probably the most controversial. And then I think some people will probably still, as you mentioned, underrate Dylan Edwards and probably put him in quality, whereas we have him in elite, as well as some people who absolutely ride Kalyn Ponga thinking he should be in elite.
That's the thing with these as well. A lot of people do skip the video and go to the end to see where we put them and then have an opinion about what we said without actually hearing what we said. That's why on these videos, although this is a premiere and whatnot, I do also, for people who are watching it afterwards, there is timestamps of every single player from when we spoke about them. So please do go back and obviously listen. If you're listening to me, hello. Do go back and listen to what we were saying about them, because there is a reason why we've got them there. And I don't think you can say that our reasoning is stupid based on most of these. If any of those, it just means that you'd probably have them a little bit different, because, we do know what we're talking about. We have a pretty decent idea. However, perspectives are always going to be a tough one. But we are done there, man. We're done here for the fullback. So obviously, thanks for coming on, and let everyone know where they can find you if they want to go and check out your content.
Yeah, guys, Entertain House over on YouTube, Entertain YT over on TikTok, and in person at the moment in the Sports Shed Charity TV match on the 25th of February. So get around it for sure.
Absolutely, man. I really am keen for that one. I will be there, and it's going to be, like I said, guys, I cannot tell you exactly just yet what's going to be happening there with me, but I think, as I say all the time, I do think you probably are very well aware of what I'll be doing. But yeah, I appreciate you obviously for coming on, and appreciate you guys for tuning in as per usual. We've got 9 more of these. This is the very first one. I think there's 5/8 coming out at the end of this week with Blake Darlison. On this, we've got Sportshed TV. We've got Random Stats Guy for the front row forwards. That goes for about 2.5 hours. Z Tank 99 for the back rowers. We've got a heap of them there coming up. A Trademark Sports is on one of them as well. I think the centers, Hector Frey. Plenty of guys coming on. So definitely hit that subscribe button if you are new here, guys. As well, I stream literally every single game, unless I'm at a Titans game, and I'll be at every single Titans game this year, home or away. So I'm very, very excited for that. And the vlogs will come out on that Monday. Hit that thumbs up button, guys. Smack a thumbs up button. Appreciate you as always. Subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.